Then Thomas had an idea that changed everything. "Let's make a doll the size of a man," he said. "It'd be fun to make, and we could put it in the garden to scare away the birds." "It should look like Harold," Alfred said. Harold was a farmer they both hated. They made the doll out of old sacks stuffed with straw. They gave it a pointy nose like Harold's and tiny eyes like his. Then they added dark hair and a twisted frown. Of course, they also gave it Harold's name.
Good morning. Dan McGee, welcome to my garage. Today's project, what's going to be actually a long-term project, but what I want to do is take and motorize the arms on both sides and make the head turn. The mouth already opens and closes with words, so I'm just trying to make it a little cooler. So what I want to do, I've got these parts. It's all PVC parts. So I've got these. And then I've got the 10-foot pipes that go with it. And I'm going to be using regular car wiper motors, and then I also have some window motors too that I'm going to be using for like when your car has electric windows and they go up and down. I've got a few of those motors I'm going to be using. And also I've got this, because all this runs on 12 volts, it's a car system, I've got this 13.8 converter I'm going to be hooking all of it up with. It's rated at 5 amp constant, which should be plenty for the motors, and actually it'll do up to a 7 amp surge. So I think I should be covered with that. Hey guys, just wanted to give you a quick update on where I'm at on the mechanizing the head and the arms of Red. So what I did was I took a wiper motor and mounted it on the bottom, and then I used 2 electric window motors to run the arms. So this is the wiper motor, and what I did to hook it up was I took off the lever and I took a piece of PVC and I drilled a hole through the center of it, and then I put it on, and then put the PVC through it. So that's what you're seeing here. It's actually a really easy thing to do. And then I ran it up, and hooked it to the back of the skull, which I'll kind of shoot it through. You can see what I did. I took a T and then screwed. I cut the T and made like a, literally like a T looking thing. And then I ran the PVC pipe through it. So that's what controls the head. Now the wiper motor was a little more difficult. I'm sorry, not the wiper motor, the window motors were a little more difficult. The window motors come, these particular ones, came with a gear on them. So I had to cut that gear off, and you can see it here. I cut this gear off, and then I took a tap, and I tapped that so I could put a nut on it. So I did the same system. I took the cap, drilled it, mounted it on there, and then I took the bolt, or the nut, and I put a nut on there. So what you're seeing here is that. It's actually maybe a little more difficult than some people, but it's really wasn't really that hard to do. But the structure of it, I ended up just using PVC to build the main part of it. I wanted it lightweight, and then I wanted to be able to change it if I needed to. So once I got the structure built, I took the plywood, I put a piece of plywood on it, screwed it to it, and then I screwed the main motor for the head turn, which is the wiper motor, to a block. I beat it out so it sits in there really nice, real secure. And what worked out really nice is the mounting bolts for the wiper motor, what you would normally use on a car, I took and used those to mount my window motors. So you could see I got it mounted there and there, and then I just brought up a piece of 1 inch by 1/8 inch steel, and then I mounted it to the same thing. These are normally the mounting holes for the where you'd mount it to the door for the window to go up and down. So you could see it on here. I did the same thing. I mounted it, and I put a little turn in it for it'll stabilize it a little bit. Plus, when I go to put the clothing on it, it won't be sticking out. So if you look at the wiring on it, this is kind of interesting. These are DC motors. They're car motors. They work on like 12 to 13.8 volts. That's their, a car system runs on that. So what I ended up having to, if you notice, look, these are going to go up and down, and there's only, two wires there, a positive, negative, positive, negative, same thing, positive, negative. So how do you reverse the polarity to make it go up and down? Well, that's what these switches ended up doing. So what I did was I took the 2 wires that go to the motor, and I mounted them in the center, where this normally would be like, if you normally did it in a regular system, these would be your positive and negative, and then your accessories would be on or off, or left or right, or whatever that would be. So what I did was these are actually the motor, and then I took a positive, negative, and then I took a negative, positive. So when you go to toggle it back and forth, you're changing the polarity of it. Go up and down. So I'm going to show you, or left and right. So this is the head turn. So back and forth. And then for the arms to go up and down. It's the same thing. I wired it the same way. So I'm taking it and toggling it back and forth. So that's pretty cool, ain't it? What's neat about this system is you don't have linkages on the system, but probably the downside of this system is you mechanically you don't you can't adjust the speed on it. The speed is the speed. But I bought speed controllers, and this is how I hooked up the wires. I hooked up the wires through these speed controllers. So this is a 13.8 volt power supply, and that's what's running. That's what's running the whole system. So, anyways, it runs through here, and then it goes through the power supply, and then it goes into all the wires, and then it goes into the switches, and then from the switches it goes to all the different motors. So probably didn't explain that really good, but if you have any questions, you can comment, and I'll try to answer your question. If you need maybe a picture taken or of a certain area, I'd be glad to do it. Have a great day, and I'm going to put a demonstration of how it actually works when it's all done, when it's all dressed. And oh, I know what I forgot to do. I wanted to show you the how the skull works. The skull is actually pretty cool. So it works off of sound.
Sure.
So if you look at the back of this, you've got this right here is for the actual power. That's what powers this board. And then you've got an input for sound. So on this particular one, I actually have it running into my the headphone jack of my stereo. So whatever the TV's playing, it's going into the stereo, and then it's coming out, and then it's going into this board. And this board runs a servo, and a servo is just a it's like a real precision motor that runs on I think it's electrical pulses or something like that. But the bottom line is it's a lot more complicated than my systems for the arms and legs, but it's not real powerful. So it can, it's very limited on what you can do with it. But anyways, it's pretty cool. I'm going to turn on some sound, and you can watch it run.
One night, after Thomas had wiped Harold's face with food, Harold grunted. "Did you hear that?" Alfred asked. "It was Harold," Thomas said. "I was watching him when it happened. I can't believe it." "How could he grunt?" Alfred asked. "He's just a sack of straw. It's not possible." "Let's throw him in the fire," said Thomas, "and that'll be that." "Let's not do anything stupid," said Alfred. "We don't know what's going on. When we move the cows down, we'll leave him behind. For now, let's just keep an eye on him." So they left Harold sitting in a corner of the hut. They didn't talk to him or take him outside anymore. No?
So anyways, they sell these. You could actually get this whole skull with this board as a kit, but you got to put it all together. Somebody actually, figured out how to do it and how to mount it. But again, it's not ready. It's not really ready to go. They just give you the parts and like in a little instruction sheet, and then they go over it. But probably the best way to do it is, if you decide to do something like this, is where whenever you buy this, almost everybody now has a that sells these. They have a YouTube channel or a YouTube video that gets further in depth of how to do this. So again, that's about all. I hope this helps you out. If you ever decided to build a full-size robot, simple one. Have a great day. Cheers.